Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Wise Decision Maker Show, where we help you make the wisest and most profitable decisions. And today we'll talk about the most profitable and wisest decisions about shopping. Specifically, what influences you to buy what you buy in various contexts. You might think you're a fully rational person who buys just what they intentionally think through and deliberately want to buy. But research shows that's not the case, however much we might believe it. So that's something that you need to realize. What actually influences your shopping decisions? And how do you become better at making the wisest, most profitable shopping choices in all sorts of shopping, whether you do it for your family, whether you do it as part of your professional business, all sorts of shopping decisions. How do you make the best shopping decisions? How do you buy the right things at the right time to fit your needs, not the needs of the people who are selling you the stuff that they want to sell? So that's what we're going to be talking about. How do you make the right purchase decisions? Now, we often ignore the reality that we are not very rational. It's very easy to make pretty irrational choices when we're making shopping decisions. I'm going to be focusing on shopping decisions, so we're going to be focusing on online, offline, all sorts of shopping decisions. It's easy to make bad choices in all sorts of contexts because we tend to overestimate our extent of self-control, self-understanding, self-management. We tend to greatly overfocus and perceive ourselves as being more in control of ourselves, of our decisions, of our shopping choices than we actually are. We actually shop pretty impulsively. We're mainly emotionally driven, even for the biggest decisions in our lives, like what house to buy or what job to take, or if you're in a professional context, what major service vendor to hire or something like that. Make pretty irrational decisions. And so this is important for us to know and to address these dangerous judgment errors called cognitive biases that cause us to splurge on things that we don't want to splurge. And sometimes, that's not a bad thing to splurge, but that's only when we deliberately think through and make that choice. Whereas too often we're just irrational about it. We're pulled by our emotions, we're tempted, and then we make bad choices that we later come to regret. Now, first, we need to understand what factors affect our shopping. There are several external factors and several internal factors. The internal factors have to do with cognitive biases. The external factors have to do with external environment. Of course, these institutions, organizations, folks who want to make us shop, cause us to shop, shape our environment, our shopping environment in such a way as to induce us to shop. Online sites, for example, have reviews. There's some reviews offline, but especially prevalent online. You've probably seen tons of reviews, and whether you make your purchases on Amazon, Google, Yelp, all of these reviews. Many shoppers trust online feedback, sometimes more than they trust feedback from their friends and family, especially younger people. We see that from studies of what drives people to buy. And the online reviews are the second most or top most important factor depending on the study and depending on the age of the participants. For younger people, they tend to be more important. For older people, they tend to be less important. So this is something to understand, but they're all important even for older people. So usually number two factor for older folks. Unfortunately, many of these reviews are fake. Lots and lots of fake reviews. Probably heard that. And there are actually a number of companies that provide fake reviews for products, for venues. They actually sell fake reviews. They're specializing in providing that service. So when you see a lot of good online reviews, especially short ones or brief ones, great product and so on, it's often 5 stars. It's often going to be the case that the reviews are fake. And of course, who buys fake reviews? Well, people who don't have very good products to sell you. They're just trying to make money on selling you by buying the reviews and selling you crappy products. So you want to be very careful about that. You want to look at reviews that are not 5-star. Don't look at 1-star reviews, because you sometimes have companies that buy bad reviews for their competitors' products. So bashing their competitor. So you generally want to look at reviews that are in the middle, 2, 3, 4 stars, and ones that are lengthy and describe their experience with the product to get more credible sense of what's actually going on. So if you have like a 4.9 product, it doesn't mean that everyone who left a review saying great product, 5 stars, is a fake reviewer. But if you don't see any 4 or 3-star reviews that give a lengthy description of why they like the product, that's something to be suspicious about. So that's something for you to be really aware of. Then another factor, external factor, is the quality of websites. We see a lot of research showing that the quality of websites rather than the quality of the products often compels us to buy. So if you have a similar product presented on two websites, one is higher quality, better graphics, all of the design and so on, another lower quality, lower graphics, lower design, people will tend to buy the product from the high quality website, even though this product may cost more there. So this is a problem. And even though the product may be worse, so when you have a better quality product and a worse quality product, the better quality product on a worse looking website will cause people to generally buy a lower quality product on a better looking website. That's a problem for you. And that's a problem for me. That's a problem for everyone who shops. So that's quality of websites. Then think about that's online reviews and websites. And in person, shops have, of course, a lot more control over us when we go in person. Now, we don't see reviews unless we research something in advance, but they control our whole environment. Whereas online, the environment that's controlled is our visual environment. That's the main environment. Sometimes they have sounds, but I always make sure to turn off the sounds. I hope you do that as well, so that the sounds of the website don't compel you to shop. So they only control your visual sense. But in a store, it's not so simply visual. It's visual, auditory. They can influence you through, of course, tactile smells. They can influence you through touch, tactile. They can influence you through smells. And so there's a lot of stuff that's going on. Visual, see, hear, smell, touch, all of that sort of stuff, that really influences us. So it's even more powerful, the influence on stores. So that's something to be very much aware. And of course, the visual impact in stores is much greater because online you're only looking at your phone screen or in your laptop, whatever, monitor, computer. That's a small square, relatively speaking. Whereas in the store, you're completely surrounded by all of the products. And the store can run various experiments to see what most influences you to buy what you buy. Now, when you shop online, you can take steps to protect yourself by making comparisons to make better decisions. There are a number of comparison websites that you can use to make better decisions. So you can see, go to CNET or Top 10 or various other review comparison websites that compare a number of products together, write reviews. So you can actually compare things online. That's a beneficial thing, and that's a much more credible review when you have external third-party reviewers who have no stake in the game, who are reviewing the products, rather than the reviews of the products themselves that might be bought and fake. So that's kind of something. So credible websites, like I said, CDNet, Wired, of all of those sort of stuff, the top 10. And you can also make comparisons on different websites. You can go to, for example, Google Shopping will give you comparisons of prices on different websites for various products, so that you can check that out. When you're shopping in person, you need to understand that you're really overwhelmed by all the stimuli, this visual stimuli especially. It's very powerful. Humans tend to be more visual creatures than anything else. We tend to be very much visually processing. Tactile as well, but visual is very important for us. So you need to understand that you need to protect yourself from this visual stimuli, and it's really hard to resist those impulse purchases. And visual stimuli are the most prevalent, but smells are really powerful, and you'll be surprised how powerful they are. They really reach deep into their smell sense is most connected to our brain and most immediately connected to our brain. So stores use that quite a bit to influence us, and not simply about food. Nice furniture smells or something like that can also influence us. So you have to realize that, and I would recommend doing more online shopping than in-person shopping for that reason. If you don't want to overspend, splurge, buy things that you don't want to buy, it's much easier to resist doing that online than in person. Less fun, but much easier to resist splurging. So that's the external factors. What about internal factors? What's going on within us? Well, these are the cognitive biases that I mentioned earlier. These are the dangerous judgment errors we make because of how our brain is wired. So there's four dangerous judgment errors that are particularly important to shopping that I want to highlight. And so these cognitive biases, the first one is the restraint bias. That has to do with our ability to restrain ourselves. We tend to greatly exaggerate that our ability to control ourselves in the moment. We think, oh, we'll be fine, we'll control ourselves. I won't get that, second donut, right? Or I won't buy that appealing thing at the display counter. It'll be fine, but we don't. We are very much powerfully influenced by what's happening in the moment, and we tend to greatly exaggerate the extent to which our future self will be restrained by our in the moment, by our desires right now. So if I go to the store right now, I might think while I'm here before I go to the store that I won't buy stuff that I didn't actually intend to buy, but I probably will, just because my in the moment in the store self will have a difficult time restraining himself from that. Another factor is called the post-purchase rationalization, kind of cognitive bias. Post-purchase rationalization. We justify our shopping decisions after making them, rather than before making them. What happens in our brain is that our emotional part of us pulls us to make the decision to shop, to buy the thing, and so we buy it, and then we come home, or after we pay, we rationalize it to ourselves. We say, well, there's good reasons for us to buy it. Reason X, reason Y, reason Z. That's why I bought it. But in reality, you bought it because you're emotionally pulled to buy it, most likely due to the manipulation by the store, maybe some fake reviews online, and that is a problem for us. That's something that really causes us to make bad decisions. So you want to make sure to do your rationalization to explain to yourself why you want to buy something before you buy it, rather than try to have a story afterward about why you bought it. So we have restraint bias, post-purchase rationalization. There are two more cognitive biases that you need to remember. The framing effect. That's how your options to buy something are framed, and stores really know this well, and they influence us very powerfully, where the context by which something is presented really influences whether we buy it or not, determines really our decision. So for example, is something presented on a shelf at eye level in a store, or is it presented somewhat below eye level? And if it's presented at your eye level, let's say you're an adult, let's say you're 5'8", right? So it's presented on that shelf. What about kids who are going with you? Is it what's presented at their eye level, and what are they tempted with? So you want to be thinking about this, what's presented there. That's kind of like one dynamic in the stores. Then, of course, online, what are they presenting next to each other in the websites? For example, we know we have research showing that if there are three items presented, A, B, and C, and B and C are similar on all characteristics, A is different from B and C. It's in the same category, but somewhat different. B and C are similar, but C is higher priced. Then we'll tend to buy B, even if that's not the right option for us. Even if A might have been the best option for us, we'll tend to be weighed toward buying B by that presentation. So that's a problem for us. That's how they're framed for if you want to make rational shopping decisions. Now, fourth one is attentional bias, where we're drawn by our attention to make shopping decisions that are not so great for us. We focus on what's the most emotionally compelling part of whatever the product happens to be in front of us, rather than all the other important factors. If we like the color, or if we like the person presenting it to us, if we like the real estate agent who's showing us the house, or if we like the backyard of the house, if we look at the car and we like how it drives, if we are looking at, some product in the store and we like the packaging, where it says, now it says organic or something like that, we will be influenced by that rather than considering a lot of other factors that might be quite a bit more important than that single one factor that drew our attention. So that's a problem for us, those four cognitive biases that you need to be aware of. So to defend yourself, of course, you need to address the external factors and the internal factors. To address the internal factors, you need to commit to being aware of and fighting these biases. So restraint bias, you need to be aware of that, and you need to make sure that you take steps to restrain yourself before going to the store. So for example, you can set yourself a budget. You can say, hey, I'm not going to buy more than this amount of money. Same thing for the website, when you go on the website. So that's kind of a way of fighting the restraint bias. Then post-purchase rationalization. You want to address that by making sure that you have explained to yourself why you are buying the thing before you actually buy it, and so on. So these are the kinds of things that you want to be thinking about, the framing effect. You want to make sure that you're not super influenced by things the way that information is presented to you, so that you don't simply click on the first page of Amazon and say, okay, I'll be fine with this page. You want to go through the two more pages, for third page, see what the kind of options are that you have, and not simply settle on what's at the top. Because of course, Amazon will show you the more pricey things at the top that's in their interest to buy, or the ones that have the biggest profit margins for them, for example. And the same thing in the store. You don't want to only look at the shelf that's on your eye level, which is very tempting, but you want to look at all eye levels and know that the products that they want to sell you less because they have less profit margins on them will likely be not at the level of the adult, and the same thing for the child, that they'll be trying to tempt the child with the eye level of the child. So you want to commit to fighting these cognitive biases and make sure that that's something that you are addressing within yourself. So think about that. Then change the context to limit bad shopping decisions. So I talked about the context. I strongly recommend that you choose to do more of your shopping online. It's much easier to address bad shopping decisions online than in the store because you have much more control over your senses, and that you go to review websites to look at products rather than trusting the reviews in the potentially fake reviews. And if there are no good review websites of a specific product, and of course far from all products have good review websites of quality third-party reviews dedicated to them, then look for reviews with 2, 3, 4 stars to give lengthy descriptions of what's up. Delay your decisions by at least half an hour to get that emotional attentional bias addressed. So attentional bias, we talked about that. That's one of our cognitive biases that causes us to be very much prompted by the emotional salience of whatever fact we fixate on. So you want to delay your decision by half an hour and give yourself time to calm down, if at all possible. I mean, obviously it's not going to be possible in the store, but if you're going online and you're thinking about buying something, and if it's not a small decision, if it's like $100, $200 thing, then take a half hour to think about it and not think through it fully, but just kind of do something else and go away and come back, and then consider other factors rather than the one that initially drew you to what's going on to address that attentional bias. And make a list of shopping priorities. It's good whether you're going online, and especially good when you're going to the store. Make a shopping list to make sure that you get your priorities met and that you don't buy too much stuff that's not on your list. Then finally, you want to get high quality advice, like from this show, on how to address bad decisions, how to address bad shopping decisions. So improve the quality of your decision making, not simply the specific object level shopping choices that you're making, but the meta. The meta refers to the way you think about a topic, the way you process, the way you understand a topic. So the meta decision, the meta shopping, how you think, how you make your decisions, how you approach shopping. So use this as a strategy. Think about your shopping processes and decisions, and change the process. So get good advice and choose as part of your shopping decisions. All right, everyone. This has been another episode of the Wise Decision Maker Show. I hope we've helped you make better shopping decisions in all life areas. And I hope you will subscribe to this show on whatever venue you've been checking us out. We have a video cast and a podcast, so make sure to check out both. They're in the notes. Please click like and share your comments. I'd love to hear what you think about it. Email me at gleb@disasteravoidanceexperts.com. Again, that's Gleb, Gleb, @disasteravoidanceexperts.com to tell me what you thought, and happy to chat with you about it. Again, there's going to be a lot more information about what you've heard about what influences your shopping choices and how to make better decisions in the notes to this podcast, and I will look forward to seeing you next time. In the meantime, the wisest and most profitable decisions to you, my friends.